What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful.com, FightfulMMA.com here with you. We did a live watch-along for the UFC 247 main event. Check that out. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe, tap the bell for notifications, all that good stuff. But visit FightfulMMA.com for all of your MMA news. We have another card coming up this weekend. It is UFC Fight Night, Anderson versus Blachowicz. Let's get right into it. We have some betting odds and the like. I'll kind of maybe not make my official predictions. I do that in our pick'ems over at FightfulMMA.com after I am able to digest things, actually, as I review the matchups here. But thus far on 2020, I am 14-1 in my picks. The only fight that I picked incorrectly this year so far is Justin Tafa and Juan Adams, which is an extremely low-level heavyweight fight, which is like, all right, whoever connects with the other person first is probably going to win. But let's go ahead and talk about this. Mark De La Rosa, a plus 180 against Raulian Paiva. Now, here's the thing. I don't hate Mark De La Rosa here. I think that this line is maybe a little bit wider than it should be, even though De La Rosa has experienced 2 decision losses. I'll say this. De La Rosa needs to win to stay in the UFC because the UFC has been cutting people quick. On the flip side, Paiva needs to win to stay in the UFC as well because he's lost 2 in a row. But I don't see how you could have 2 flyweights that are so close together in experience, ranking, and talent and have the betting line this different. That's kind of surprising to me. I would put Mark De La Rosa at plus 180 as one of my I got 5 on it. Speaking of, Ray Borg, a minus 140 favorite over Rogerio Bontorin. Of course, Ray Borg is perhaps more well-known than Bontorin, and I'm going with Bontorin here if this fight even happens. I like him at the underdog, plus 120. He looked good against Paiva. He looked good against Bibulatov. He looked good on Contender Series. And all due respect to Ray Borg, I like him, and he's also very good. But I'm not that sure that Borg can stay healthy. I'm not sure that Borg can make it 2 fights. Any number of things. Borg had 6 straight fights canceled, for better or for worse. He had 7 out of 8 canceled. I mean, the guy can't stay in the ring. He can't stay in the cage. I think he's pulled out of, 7 or 8 fights. Now, one of them you can't really hold against him because of some of the personal issues, but I think Bontorin's going to take it here. I like him at those odds as well. Casey Kenny, a plus 145 against Merab Dvalishvili, who is a minus 165. I still feel for Merab Dvalishvili, man. He had that fight against Ricky Simone that he lost, and he probably shouldn't have lost. And since then, he's looked really good. He beat Terrion Ware. He beat Brad Katona. Even his other loss against Frankie Saenz was a split decision. I have him winning here at the minus 165. You got Jim Miller still doing it, man. Still doing it after all these years. He's taking on Scott Holtzman. Holtzman is a minus 150. Jim Miller is a plus 130. Jim Miller's fair to take at a plus 130 at any time. He's won 3 of his last 4. I don't think that happens by accident. I don't think you beat a Clay Guida, Alex White, or even a Jason Gonzalez by accident. Obviously, he's had trouble with some of the higher-level guys, Trinaldo, Pettis, Poirier, Hooker, Oliveira in recent years. I don't know if Holtzman is that, quote, high level, but he has won 4 of his last 5 as well. This isn't just a fight to throw together. This is a fight between 2 fighters who are doing well, and I appreciate that. I feel like Jim Miller might snatch a guillotine here. John Dodson, a plus 145 underdog. Did you think you'd see the day? Against Nathaniel Wood, a minus 165. John Dodson is an okay one to take at any time as an underdog. But when you're facing a guy like Nathaniel Wood who has stepped into the UFC and just finished people, and he was doing it in Cage Warriors. See, the thing is, that's the thing I like about the contrast of his Cage Warriors career. to where he is now, because in Cage Warriors he was knocking everybody out in like the first round, second round. Now he's tapping people out like late into the second, maybe the third. He beat Andre Ewell, he beat Johnny Eduardo, he beat Quinones, which a lot of people thought he was going to win that pretty heavily. John Dodson, on the other hand, is on a 2-fight losing streak. He's lost 3 of his last 4. He hasn't won back-to-back fights since 2014, 2015. That's why I got to go with Nathaniel Wood here. And I think that if John Dodson loses, well, one, I think he should move back to flyweight if he loses. If you move back to flyweight, maybe you stand a chance of staying in the UFC. But like I said, the UFC is cutting people with rapid succession. Tim Means, a minus 270 against Daniel Rodriguez, a plus 230. So for Tim Means, he is a good fighter, and he's facing a much less experienced Daniel Rodriguez. But guys like Daniel Rodriguez can emerge kind of out of nowhere and end up taking big wins and making a name for themselves. Now, this wasn't supposed to be the fight. Dirty Bird Means was supposed to fight Ramazan Emeev, and then Emeev withdrew. So Tim Means, who's won 2 of his last 3, is very experienced, is expected to put away Daniel Rodriguez, but you could have a Mike Perry situation here very easily. This good prelim show continues with even odds. Lando Venata and Yancy Medeiros at minus 110, and I like it. I like it right where it is, man. And this is a hell of a fight. Why isn't this on the main card? You're throwing this on the main card, or you're not throwing this on the main card instead of like, I don't get it, man. I don't get it. Maybe it'll get switched around, but I think Venata wins this. And Venata is a guy that we know to be exciting, but he has not won 2 fights in a row in his UFC career. He's in this weird position where he's had 8 UFC fights and he's lost half of them, but he's only won 2 fights. He's got 2 draws in there. I think he wins this, but it's going to be a good fight. This is a hell of a fight to put together. Brock Weaver, a healthy favorite, a minus 270 against Kazula Vargas. I think Brock Weaver takes this one. I think Brock Weaver wins this one. He's another Contender Series guy, and the rapid addition of Contender Series projects and products has led to the UFC having higher level fighters, so I'm all for that, although some of it just kind of come out of nowhere. I like Brock Weaver in this one. Montana De La Rosa, a minus 165 against the plus 145 underdog, Mara Romero Barella. This isn't a bad fight, but you got to wonder what a win here does for either one of these women on the main card. You have Barella, who's lost 2 of her last 3. She lost to people who have emerged as contenders in Shikagian and Murphy. Montana De La Rosa dropped her last fight to Andrea Lee, but won 3 fights before that. She came off the Ultimate Fighter. I think that whoever wins this will need another win or 2. If De La Rosa wins, she'll need another win or 2 to get into relevance. I think Barella needs a lot more than that. Devin Clark against Deacon Townsend. Clark is a minus 320. Townsend a plus 260, sorry. And Devin Clark being that much of a favorite after being so inconsistent gives me reason to think that just because Townsend is replacing Antigulov and jumping up in weight, there's not a lot that he's shown that gives me a reason to think that he should be such a significant favorite. He's never finished anybody in his UFC career. Never. And Deacon Townsend has lost his last 2 fights, hasn't won a UFC fight. But who knows, maybe the lack of weight cut will rejuvenate him. I just haven't seen anything out of Clark outside of the weight advantage that would lead me to believe he should be such a significant favorite. Well, Diego Sanchez is an underdog, plus 135 against Michel Pereira, who's a A minus 155. Easy for me to say. Here's the thing. If Michel Pereira goes in there and jerks around like he did against Tristan Connolly, Diego Sanchez is going to pour the pain on him. Diego Sanchez is going to press forward, but Diego Sanchez also seems like the kind of person that could get caught with a moonsault head kick. So I'm going with Pereira here. Corey Anderson, Jan Blachowicz. This is the main event. Corey Anderson a minus 200. Blachowicz a plus 170. Oh, man. Before the Dom Reyes fight, it looked like the winner of this would get a sure shot at John Jones and the light heavyweight title. Not so much now. They could run Dom Reyes and John Jones back. And if they do that, well, you're waiting what? Until the end of the year, maybe? Well, here's the thing. If you're waiting until the end of the year, what happens if Johnny Walker keeps winning? If he comes back and reels off 2 wins? Well, he's a lot more exciting than either one of these two guys are, unfortunately, because Corey Anderson deserves it. And so does Blachowicz to a degree. But what if Thiago Santos' knee heals up? Because if July rolls around and he's good to go after a year of surgery and he fights in October, people might be wanting that fight again. And what if Johnny Walker keeps winning after that? Where are you in line then? You better keep winning. You better keep winning your fights. I got Corey Anderson winning this fight as well because he beat Jan Blachowicz 4.5 years ago. And I get it. Anderson beat Johnny Walker and jumped him in line. But the thing is, if Johnny Walker knocks out Krylov, knocks out another person, then in the meantime knocks out a third person, he's going to be right back into that title conversation. He's going to be right back there. Corey Anderson's got to win this, and he's got to keep winning. He's beaten Cummins, Teixeira, Latifi, and Walker in succession after it looked like he was about to be bounced from the UFC. Blachowicz has been on a hot streak as well. He got beat by Thiago Santos, but he beat Rockhold and Souza back-to-back. Those are 2 big names, even though they are nowhere near their prime. Before that, he beat Krylov, he beat Manoa, and Cannonier. Some of those wins look a little bit better now. Well, we hope you guys join us, our live coverage of UFC Fight Night, Rio Rancho, this Saturday. Of course, we will have post-show results. Not a full podcast, but we will have post-show results. Make sure to join us. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe, leave your picks below. We're out.